play that one for you just today again.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that is the most gangster intro I've ever heard. Love that.
That's what I was going for. Clearly, gangster. That's it. I nailed it. Spot on with the gangster.
Well, for you, Ox, that's par for course.
Hey, that's right. Hey. We did in the garage this weekend. I think it was on Saturday. Yeah, the only game that was on still, Kansas State versus BYU. We did have the trap rap going in the garage. That is rare for me these days. Yeah, we had the trap. We had the full Juicy J album pumping in there, and that's not too common at age 34. I don't mind it, but it's not that common. So, do you know that? Do you know I'm gonna? Well, I shouldn't say me personally, but I guess you could say that. Getting a hurricane. Did you see that this week?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, this week got a hurricane coming. It's going to hit probably Tallahassee directly, the West Coast.
Are you worried for yourself?
What?
Are you worried for yourself?
I wouldn't say I'm worried for myself. I've had a Cat 3 hit here, and I wasn't that worried.
Okay, is this smaller then?
Yeah. Well, they're saying it might be a Cat 3 that hits Tallahassee directly.
But that's a decent bit north of you, right?
Yeah. Oh, Tallahassee's 4 hours west on the Panhandle, like where Pensacola is and stuff. I don't ever go up there very much, obviously anymore. But yeah, so like all the storms would have to hit land before they come and hit me. So
you're good.
Yeah,
yep.
okay.
It's gonna be calmer.
Yeah, it'll be some rain. Maybe a little bit of wind. But we'll see. I don't know.
Betting implications though.
Lots of them. Probably should bring up the old Hurricane Center and show you where it's going to go through. That way people can make more logical bets, but we'll talk about it. We don't expect you to be a meteorologist, but it might help you win money if you have some experience. But that's all we got. Facts, Lies, and One Truth Network. We have two Joes and Wannabe pros. You might think I'm a pro after this week, but I'll let you decide that. We got a lot of good where we were right, at least myself.
I have a lot of good where we were wrong.
Yes, it's okay. I'm gonna have I'll have a week like that too. I mean, last week wasn't too great, but we have a lot of good stuff. We have a really bad, really big. I think we're gonna retire after this Survivor pick, where we were wrong as well. So that sucks even more. But before we get into it, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Find us on YouTube as well. I think some of your peeps watch us on YouTube. I think your brother does.
Does he?
Or nice. He has.
Okay.
Before.
I know we have people on Spotify too.
Oh, yes. Even better. Okay, sweet. Yeah, Spotify. It does the podcast, the way they look on Spotify is cool because they kind of way the color scheme of your artwork matches the player. I don't know. When I was messing around the other day, I was like, this is pretty cool. But anyway, you can find us wherever you get your podcast audio version on there. And then, video, you can get us on YouTube and Facebook. So make sure you drop a follow, like us. And, if you're looking for the action, I guess I'll drop those too. There's our URL code. So, yeah, if you're watching us on the video portion, I made this nice graphic for us. So at least one person out there can maybe scan us up and give us a follow. Alex will not post his bets as often if he is hungover. Those will be slow to appear if you are looking to follow our live bets. I'm actually pretty solid with the live bets on action because I got a routine now, right? So I hit the Hard Rock Florida Sports app or one of my offshores, either or. And I don't really live bet on the offshore too much because their odds are absolute trash. Absolute trash.
That's how I felt about the offshore before it became legal here and we had 100 options. Okay. The offshore was way worse, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do most of my live betting on Hard Rock for sure. Anyway, and I got a routine. I put those bets in, and then I literally kind of just switch apps and then put that in before I forget. Otherwise, I won't do it.
99% of the time I do that. This Sunday was it was hard.
I understand. Yes.
Not a lot of brain power.
You were handicapped in some way.
Yes.
So
coming off about 2 hours, 3 hours of sleep, it was hard.
Man, I was like me on Monday. I felt like I just couldn't. I was just slow moving. We went to a concert on Sunday, so
that's right.
Just didn't have it in me. Yeah, so I always feel bad at concerts for the sound guys, man. You probably did test a little bit, but there's nothing like the live show. right? And you gotta really nail the sound in because it's a fucking concert, you know. And the sound guy, he was having a rough one, right?
Oh, it wasn't a good night for him, huh?
No. Do you know? I mean, I've never looked this up. This is just me talking, but like, do they hear? Like for me, I hear my vocals in my ear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's how it's set up for me. So I know how loud, or if I bust, out of my sound zone, I can hear it. I'm assuming the artist, the lead singer, has the same thing. No. Or is it the song?
I really don't know that, man.
See, I don't either, so it's not just me. Okay, all right.
But they do have things in their ears, typically.
Yeah.
I feel like. So I bet you're right.
And they kept saying it's not loud enough. It's not loud enough.
Oh, so they were getting after their sound guys. Oh, okay. That's not good.
Yep. And then the main act came out, and they were like, yo, I can't hear my vocals. I don't know, man. I just felt for him, either way. That guy was having a bad one, but the concert went up. All right, Survivor picks, or just one pick. Now we're going to have no more picks. This week we actually took the Bengals. Played last night. Monday night game. Actually had an extra, what, they have an extra day to prepare? Is that what we talked about as well? Oh, yeah, due to the Monday night game. They had another day. And yikes. I felt like the offense got into a groove, but the defense still is wondering if, they made Daniels an MVP candidate here through week 3.
that is how they never stopped him. He had one incompletion. Did he have more than one incompletion?
I know. I thought he...
maybe he threw a second, but they literally could not stop him. Wild.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive last night, and the offense did get rolling a little bit. He had 2 incompletions is all he had, 91.3% completion percentage. And you know what's even more impressive about it? His average is 11 yards a pass.
Wow. Yeah, so he wasn't just dinking them off. He was hitting downfield.
Yeah, man. And
so going into that game, I did not think Washington was going to throw a lot. We can move on from this, but the Bengals' entire defensive line was injured, so I was like, "Oh, Washington's just going to run the hell out of this game," and that's the only way they can keep it close. And then they just fired, and then he just scrambled. Whenever that didn't happen,
yeah, and Eckler got injured in the second half, even of that game. Funny enough. And they, obviously the running game was a little rough after that. But they did run. If you want to count Daniels' rushes, they ran over 30 times. If you want to count Daniels' rushes.
Yeah.
But,
you should.
Yeah. When he leads the league in first downs among quarterbacks. Jackson had it before they played. Lamar Jackson did. And now Jaden Daniels, leads the NFL's first down rushes. So that's pretty insane. Looking pretty good. But yeah, Brian Robinson Jr. obviously ended up taking the carries there, mostly in the second half. But, he didn't really do much because, the Bengals were obviously playing for that. They're trying to run out the clock, But, man, I guess Jamar Chase is back, I guess.
And T. Higgins.
Yes. But I'm saying Jamar Chase obviously had
back.
The fantasy game that I guess everybody was kind of banking on. Man, Terry McLaurin's still a G though. Jeez, I think he's just as much a G as Jamar Chase is. But at the same token, it's hard to say, right, to combat with that because Terry McLaurin's had 11 quarterbacks in his career,
and still had over 1,000 yards receiving every year.
Every year, yeah.
There's something to be said about that.
That's right. And Jamar Chase has, Joe Burrow, who's I guess the Chiefs killer, I guess so to speak. Maybe I don't, whatever. So a pretty damn good quarterback is the point. But anyway, bad pick. We lost. We're out of Survivor again. I think we're going to retire and, just focus on our weekly bets here. We'll try to do a better job. Maybe I was trying to think of a segment when we lost the first time out of our Survivor pool, what we would do, maybe do a special segment that's maybe we both go in on a major bet of the week. But you and I both know all the bets that we do together, we always lose. History states
for some reason it does. Whenever we share bets and we both take them, that is what happens.
Yes, it's awful.
It was sad. It was sad just because I was like, give us the segment for 10 weeks, especially on the second chance. Just give us a segment. Let us have a little fun.
Yep.
So to go out right away, that part sucked. The only idea I had, I don't think this is going to be super entertaining though, but I am in a pick'em league, an NFL pick'em league, where I pick every single game against the spread. You know this. I talked to you about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think I could report because I'm hitting at 58% right now, which is pretty good. Picking every game against the spread in the NFL. Damn. But that's kind of more of an ego boost to myself. I don't think it's near as exciting as us picking a Survivor game together.
I know. We'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll put something together.
We have to stop losing first, I guess. Maybe I don't know. Let's get I guess more positive before we get more negative. Where we were right. I'll do you first.
Oh man,
I mean, you did get the Ravens money line. Now that one was close as well. Now a lot of
it got close in the last 6 minutes. That game was 28. That game was 28-6 going into the fourth quarter. I was already counting my money.
When the game,
I still got to count my money, but man, did the Ravens try to? What is up with the Ravens just trying to fail in the fourth quarter? I don't know.
You would think the opposite would happen with the best running quarterback, maybe of this new generation, I'm assuming, and then debatably a Hall of Fame running back, I guess, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
You would think they would control the game, and their defense isn't terrible,
right?
But I mean, maybe we're wrong. I mean, they are 1-2.
I know that's where it's weird, but let's go back to I got one right. Ravens money line.
You did. You got one right. Ravens money line. We counted that in the win column. I went 4-0 last week. One of those times where you feel like you can do no wrong. I have to say I've only had a few of those. I've had more in the other direction where it feels like you can do no right. Miami and Florida hit pretty good. Tennessee, as bad as Oklahoma, I guess, was on offense, Tennessee never got over 31.5 points. So that team total did hit, which was pretty sweet. A lot of people kind of on him and how good he is. Nico Imalava, not really that great. I don't think he turned the ball over twice against a very good defensive team. But the 31.5 worked out really well for me, Tennessee. And then I think my favorite one, Dexter Lawrence, best defensive tackle in the league now.
Oh,
officially.
Are you sure?
Yes. Look it up.
Okay.
He's the best defensive tackle in the league. Number 1 in PFF for the Giants, Dexter Lawrence, over a half a sack at the Browns. You were helpful here. You nabbed it, I felt like pretty early. I think you nabbed it on Thursday or that Friday morning or something. You nabbed it early, yes. And we got a really good look at it. You got it at plus 105 or something like that because it was only a 0.25 sack. Is that right?
Yeah, 0.25 at plus 115.
Okay, so I got plus 135 at a half a sack.
Okay.
He made sure he did us a couch cover and he got 2 sacks.
Nice. Stud.
Absolute stud. So that 3 in a row, if you crown a push to, I guess, I don't know if you want to count it, but I'm 2-0-1. But I've stayed alive 3 weeks on the sack bets. I do have a sack bet. It's so early in the week, it is not posted. You might have it posted, so you might want to nab it. I'll explain it here in a bit. But we're going 4, quote-unquotes, with a push in a row here for sack bets. Hopefully keep going. And then Ravens, also Elliott Baltimore Ravens at Dallas Cowboys. Elliott under 32.5 rushing yards. Everything went exactly as planned. Dowdle, right? Dowdle had...
You got it. You're learning.
Had majority of the rushes there, and I have some notes on this in the second page. I guess I can give it away on my notes, but I think Elliott only received, 3 rushing snaps last week.
What?
3 rushing snaps last week. That actually worked out perfect. I thought when they'd want to run the ball, they do Dowdle, but when they won pass, they'll do Elliott, and Elliott's a top 7 back in receiving backs, so makes sense. Where we were wrong, just you. I went 4-0. So you had Chargers and Bengals teasers. You love the teasers, and they're still failing you.
They're still failing me, and I will. I didn't do one this week, but I promise I will continue to give out teasers because I am strong at 2-team teasers, just not so far this year. The Chargers screwed me Well, I guess they both ended up losing, but
Right.
when Justin Herbert got hurt in the third quarter, that was a tie ball game. And it was like, damn it, who are we putting out here now? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that one's tough. When your starting quarterback goes out in a bet, that sucks.
Especially in the NFL, that's a tough break, nonetheless, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you were really confident on your worthy bet, over 44.5 rushing and receiving yards.
Yes. So I was obviously wrong on it, but what I was not wrong about, he got like 5 carries in that game. Maybe 4. He got significantly more carries than he's ever gotten. And they were only juicing that 5 yards from his rushing and receiving compared to just his receiving.
Yeah.
So I wasn't off on the angle. He just only had 17 yards receiving.
That's tough.
It could have cashed. There was, if you remember, second quarter, he had a deep post. He had his guy beat. Mahomes underthrew him. Gave the guy time to catch up. Doesn't matter. It's a loss. I'll own it. But yes, that would have hit right there.
Yeah, he had 4 targets, obviously 2 receptions for 17 yards. But he had a long rush of 6 yards, but 3 for 13, so 4.3.
There we go.
So, I mean, I guess positive in terms of outlook. But maybe, you know how it goes. Maybe it's the wrong week. Maybe it's the wrong week that you nab it there, you know?
Yeah, and I will say this. I got it at 44.5, and it got bet down to 42.5, which is pro money. Joe, the public's not betting that down. So the pros were obviously against me. I doubled down anyways. So I was not proven right on that.
Yeah, that's all right. So we got the graphic. We have it right this time. This is updated. I don't know, record numbers here. 5 and 8 for you, for Maish, and then for me 11 and 7. I'm not getting cocky. I think I told you this last week. I also had a good week last week in terms of best bets were 500 last week, but at the same token, Illinois hit. But at the same with that, so I had a positive ROI, real nice. But on the flip side, it only takes a couple bad weeks to get you back in the L column. Get you back under 500. So I've been doing this a while now. I'm not getting cocky, and maybe I am a little cocky this week, but I'll explain kind of where we're going to go with it and why we're going to pick a lot of unders with the old college football.
Either way, short round of applause for 4-0.
Thanks,
That
man.
is very hard to do.
It is. And a lot of people out there are probably like, man, should have done a parlay so you could walk away a real rich man. But I like to fight every week and not just spray and pray on parlays. And you know what I mean? And constantly lose and win once in a random blue moon. I don't feel better with that. I feel lucky if I do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel smart this week.
we're aligned on that. About I'm with you, man. This is why I do teasers, not really parlays.
Yep, that's what we do. So, all right. So we got NFL first for our for your games. I have no idea why you put these games on here. I just followed what you had on the script,
which is totally fair.
Okay.
I can explain why I have the first game on there.
Go for it. Please do. Please do.
So we'll just start there. I have the first game on here because I feel confident. It is one of my best bets of the week. We have the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Cowboys minus 4.5. I am on the Cowboys. Couple reasons I really like this. One, the last 2 years, the Cowboys have destroyed the Giants. Destroyed them. If you want to go fact check that, I think, pretty positive on that. And then the second thing, we talked about this last week. I think Cowboys are going to be a little bit in desperation mode. Giants probably feeling themselves a little bit because they finally got a win. Cowboys know they need a win. They absolutely need this. And I'm not sold on the Giants just because they went and beat the Browns. I don't think the Browns are a very good team. I think they're probably still overrated, even what they are. Their one win was against the Jaguars. We saw how that game versus the Bills went last night. So it kind of goes to that Cowboys-Ravens where I said I don't really care if it's a road game. The Ravens are desperate, and I think they're a better football team. Same spot here. I think the Cowboys match up very well against the Giants. I don't think the Giants have done a lot to be able to stop Micah Parsons and that rushing attack in a very short historic period. They whip up on the Giants. They're in a desperate mode, and I still think they are superior to the New York Giants. So it's a pretty short handicap for me, but that's where I'm at, and that's at least why I have that game.
Since 2017, they've only won once. The New York Giants have only won once. That was at the Giants, however, and the Cowboys were favored by 1.5. I know that doesn't tell you a lot, but that's pretty crazy that they've only won once since 2017, and they play twice a year because they're in the same division. Most of the time, the Cowboys do cover. So out of that, I mean, I can't necessarily count here, but I guess you can count yourself. So since 2017, they played twice a year, right? They've only not covered, meaning the Cowboys only not covered 3 times.
Jeez.
Since 2017 in this matchup. It's kind of a crazy deal there. And they've only been not favored once. That was in 2022, the second game in 2022. But that was basically a pick 'em because the Giants were only favored by 1 point.
Okay. That makes me feel even better. Thanks for just boosting me up a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on there for sure. Now, I will say this. I don't have a ton of notes in terms of it outside of the Cowboys O-line. And the more research I did, I went back to the prop game a little bit. They don't run block very well, overall speaking, and it kind of makes sense because their run game is not that good anyway. So it makes sense. It kind of lines up, in my opinion. Now they do have a very good run blocker on the right side, Terrence Steele. He's a pretty good lineman. Problem is he sucks at pass blocking, so that doesn't make that's not a whole lot of sense there, I guess, in terms of. The point is, it's not really a huge advantage. They just don't like to run the ball because their offensive line's not very good at it, right?
Yeah, but that's I think that sets up perfect for the Cowboys this game because where the Giants are weak though is their secondary. Their secondary sucks. Man, but that's how you want to beat the Giants. You want to beat the Giants through the air. That's how you attack them.
Yeah,
I like the matchup.
So where I kind of went with it is obviously down the Elliott route again, and then they did nab it a little lower this week, 28.5. Right, is the rushing for Elliott this week, and I slid in there, man, and I got it at 28.5. I'm underneath that. Dowdle is their better rusher. He's at 68 point, grade. PFF, he's a solid, decent grade, right? Dowdle did get 10 running snaps last week, and I told you Elliott only had 3. So I'm assuming they're kind of abandoning Elliott a little bit on the run.
He's a short yardage guy. That's all he does.
Yeah. So I'm going to double down on that, I guess, so to speak, and go Elliott under the 28.5 again. I don't really have a play. Here was the problem. Looking at the game grades of the computer, at least from the Phil Still look of it, he's not an NFL guy, so this is a grain of salt with me. They're pretty equal, the Cowboys and the Giants. Like, as in the spread should be closer to around the 1 and 2s, right? Being the Cowboys being favored. And this is a little bit higher than that, right? I mean, we're sitting at 5.5, I think is what you're getting it at.
Yes.
I do.
Oh, did I say 4.5? 5.5, yeah.
Yeah, 5.5. So I do think that the Cowboys will win. And clearly we've seen history. They absolutely own them, whether it's on the road or whether it's at Cowboys. And they've been as high as a 17.5 point favorite, and that was in last season, the very first time they played each other last season. I'm assuming that was maybe DeVito's first start or whatever when he was figuring it out, I guess, right? Would that have been last year? I think
you're right. Yep.
Okay, so that makes sense to spread it insanely high as that, and they covered it. In the NFL, they covered a 17.5 point spread. They've had an 11.5 point spread. They've had a I think I'm looking at 4 sevens. So we've had a spread this high before, and they've covered it. So makes sense. But the NFL is so tough with me, and especially how the year's kind of gone. I've actually been pretty decent, but I've been decent on the prop game, so to speak, ish with the sacks. So that's why I'm a little like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So I like the pick. I don't love the pick at the 5.5. but I know why you like it, because they own the Giants in a general sense.
Yeah. And the motivation spot. Yep.
Which is big. I mean, motivation, revenge. You're big on the motivation kick this year. So, but yeah. Anyway, Bills at Ravens is the next one. By the way, Cowboys at Giants is Thursday night. I'm sure most people know NFL schedule, but just in case you don't, that was reminding you. Bills at Ravens, though, I believe that is the night game. Am I getting that correct?
Sunday night, yes.
Sunday night. But what you got there?
So I mean, I picked this one. To be fair, I had about 30 seconds, I feel like, to go at it this week, and we're recording this early if people have not noticed.
Yeah.
So that really squeezes down. But I picked this game because this is the game of the week. Let's be real. So it's like, let's talk about the game of the week. When I actually look into this, what I've been waiting on with the Bills, they're pretty injured, especially at the linebacker position. Now, Josh Allen has been elite. He's your true MVP candidate right now, number one. I think. That's the number one guy right now. He's been pretty flawless. But the Bills' defense, I've had questions about coming into the year. Their strength of schedule is 32nd right now. So what do we really know about the Buffalo Bills? I mean, we know their offense is still elite. We know Josh Allen's still elite. But they really don't have a lot of wideouts. They're throwing to Khalil Shakir. He's a little gadget guy. Not mad at it. Keon Coleman. He's a big target. He can go make contested catches. But their defense, they have nobody at the linebackers position. They have one good cornerback, but they have not yet played a team that can take advantage of that. Where the Ravens can beat you is taking advantage of the middle of the field. So this isn't one of those love it bets. So it is not like one of those I wanted to put out there as my best bet. But if 2.5 is where the line is right now, I am leaning towards the Ravens. I am going to be on the Ravens at 2.5. And again, the big reason is because the strength of schedule for the Bills haven't played anybody. It's not a discount to their offense, but their defense is really banged up. And I think the Ravens are going to know how to attack that.
So first of all, I'm a little offended the fact that you said their schedule is weak. They did play a good team in the Arizona Cardinals. All right. They're going to make the playoffs this year. Just let you know.
Okay.
They barely beat them. All right. But yes, Miami, they suck. God, they were terrible in that game. And then Jacksonville, what's his name will be fired maybe before the year's over. I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going off PFF. Strength schedule 32nd.
Yeah, I believe it, right? And also Arizona, we don't know, really. I mean, they look better, but we don't know if they're going to do that. I think they obviously have a bet that they are going to make the playoffs, but we don't know. Obviously, these teams don't play a ton. So there's not obviously there's history with these teams, right? That's what I'm trying to say. But out of the last 23 years, you would expect a lot more history, but there's not. I mean, I'm doing kind of quick math in my head. Looks there's maybe 20 games, maybe-ish, out of the last 23 years. So, anyway, Buffalo has played at the Ravens 6 times. They've only won just once.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So, I thought that was pretty, and that's not even 20 times actually total that they've played. I would say even less than that, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, maybe 12 times. Sorry, I can't count. So, out of 12 times, I guess, so to speak. Anyway, they won they won in 2022. So the last time they played was in Baltimore, and they barely won. So I was like, okay, interesting. So they've only won one time, and that was in 2022. Let's take a look at the game because a lot of Josh Allen was there. Right, they got some peeps that were there. They do not have Singletary anymore. I'm assuming, correct? Running back for the Bills. They don't have him
Correct.
anymore? Okay.
But they have James Cook. I mean,
pretty good better. Back. Yes, pretty good back. I would say he's better. But Singletary also was a good receiving back as well. Cook is kind of a medium guy, I'm assuming. Right? What would you think James Cook is a receiving back? I would assume he's kind of a middle tier, but you tell me.
Overall or as a receiving back?
Receiving back.
They use him out of the backfield quite a bit.
Yeah, his grades were fine. They weren't great. They were fine when I looked at him.
Because if you ask me blindly, I'm going to say he's not elite, but he is easily in the top half of starting running backs as a receiving back. Yes.
But in that game, Josh Allen went off in terms of total stats, as in he led the team in rushing, and Singletary played very well as well. So quarterback, running back tandem really kind of won them the game. The Ravens did let up 5 yards of carry in that game. But that's also due to Allen's rushes, which is tough. So I kind of thought it may be going after an Josh Allen rushing prop, but I would assume off of 2022's game tape, they would probably look at that more, right? And if you look at quarterback rushes through the first few weeks, like I said, how is the Ravens defense against quarterbacks and rushing? They're very good. Teams are not rushing against them with any type of attempts, right? I think it's like 2 or less, and it's like a total of 3 yards throughout the entire year in terms of quarterback rushing against them. So I was like, okay. So I don't have a lot, but one thing I will say this. Big injury on the offensive line for the Ravens. Their left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. I would keep an eye on this. Because their offensive line is very meh. And Greg Rousseau, am I saying that right? Am I killing that?
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Boss. Grading out extremely well. So if their left tackle Ronnie Stanley's out, that D-line could go to eat. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see any props for that game yet because it's the night game on Sunday. So I don't have anything for listing at this time, but it was something that I would definitely keep an eye on for the game. But what I do like is, especially due to the history and kind of looking it over, and I feel like this division's for the taking. You kind of just hit it on the head a little earlier. You said the Browns aren't a good team. The Bengals are not a good team. They're not. An 0-3 team's not a good team. The Ravens, a team, anytime they've ever started 0-2, they've never made the playoffs. So that's crazy stat. And
never. 0-2, never?
When they've ever started on 0-2, the Ravens have never made the playoffs.
Okay, just the Ravens.
Just the Ravens.
I thought you were saying 0-2 team.
Just the Ravens. Ravens. And then I don't think anyone came out of the woodwork saying the Steelers were going to win the division this year.
No.
Okay. Right now, the Steelers are probably the best team in the division.
No way.
No way? Browns aren't any good. Ravens are barely hanging on to wins here. And the Bengals suck.
Well, I think you're totally off on the Bengals sucking.
0-3.
They started slow the last 3 years. Like they always start pretty.
Listen,
slow.
You're good as your.
Their defense is bad. Their defense is banged up. Like they did whatever they wanted to against Washington. I would not call them a bad team. I would not. I would not go that far, and I would not go as far as to call the Steelers a good team. Nope.
0-3. You disagree because they should have. They had the Chiefs. They should have beat them. It should have been a win for them. But the Bengals are 0-3. You're one of the worst. You're last place in the league in terms of wins. I think you're bad until you're good.
Football team.
I understand.
Well, I guess yes. We look at this differently. I'm still looking at this if I have to power rank every team in the NFL, and obviously PFF has their power rankings. I don't even care about that. If I have to power rank, I am still putting the Bengals in the top half of the league. I don't care about the record. Like you have to project other things than the record.
Currently, in terms of game rank and grading, they're ranked 24th in the league. They have a loss to the New England Patriots and the Washington Redskins.
That's all right.
That's pretty tough. I'm just telling you, it's a hard sell for top half the league. I'll say that. It's a hard sell. Nonetheless, right? The Steelers are 3-0. Right? And they've beaten Atlanta. And they've beaten a Chargers team that they ain't terrible. Right? That Denver, they're not any good.
Right.
But also, I think in a general sense, especially, their schedule is favorable the first half of the season. The Steelers are. If you look at their schedule, their first half is nice. Their second half, not so nice. Not so nice. You get at Cincinnati, you get at Philly, you get at Baltimore, and you're hosting Kansas City, and then you're also hosting Cincinnati at the end of the year. Those teams will figure it out. Kansas City's still pretty solid. You got a long road ahead. So they could definitely be leading the division halfway through. But maybe that's when you swoop in on a bet to win the division on someone else.
You read my mind there because I was like, I will that's the first thing that came to my mind. Like I'm going to find a way to fade the hell out of the Steelers.
Okay. All right. Well, you're betting against Mike Tomlin. I hate doing that period, but I got you. I understand what you're saying.
From a division standpoint, because Mike Tomlin's going to get 9 wins. He always does. Yeah. And especially starting, like they're not a trash team. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're not going to win the division. That's what I'm saying.
You heard it here first, kids.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
I do like Ravens money line here in this game. Not a best bet for me. NFL bets are always tough for me on best bets, but I do like Ravens money line here just due to the history stating how many times that the Bills have played at the Ravens. You're a motivational guy. I don't know, since it's 2 years ago, really factors into this, but they are going to look at some tape from that game. Fans are going to remember it. So maybe a little bit of a revenge factor here. I know that's more of a college football thing. I understand that. But just based off the Bills have played here 6 times and they've only won once, that really concerns me. So that's why I'm going to go Ravens money line here on this as my bet here.
Okay, so we're after all that, we're basically making the same bet here.
I'm just scared of that Ronnie Stanley possibly being out, but we'll see as we go. Saints at Falcons. I don't have no idea what you have. This is a 1:00 game on Sunday. You always throw me off with these random games, but I did a nice research on it. What you got? What you got for me?
Well, yeah. So and picked this game. As I was going through the board this week, like. The Giants Cowboys was like, okay, I feel confident about this one, so I'm going to throw this on there. The Ravens Bills, best game of the week, so I want to put that on there. I'm going through and I'm just like, there's no matchups that are really doing it for me from like an exciting standpoint, or I have a huge fill on this game. So I went to the game where I am absolutely unsure of what these teams are at this point. Okay. Because I think it's an interesting game. And the line says the same, too. The Falcons are only minus 1.5 at home. It's a division game. They're going to be familiar with each other. But I am so unsure because the Saints that box score didn't look bad last week against the Eagles. If you watch the game, though, the Eagles went up and down and up and down. They dominated the Saints is what I'm getting at. They had so many turnover on downs on the the Saints side of the field. Yeah. Anyways, that wasn't a close game, and I think everyone was kind of like, "Whoa, what is the Saints team?" And I heard some pros how like they had moved their power rankings up by 7 points, which is significant. And I wasn't buying it, but I wasn't confident enough to fade them. Well, no, that's not true. I took the Eagles last week. I don't know what I'm talking about, but yes, I did. Yeah. But anyways, but then I look at the Falcons, and every game they've had, they've been tough as hell. Like they've had some losses, some late wins, but they're right there in it. And I'm still just like, what is this? Because they play average teams, they're right there. They play really talented teams, they're right there. So honestly, I'm pretty interested to hear what your take is. This is a small lean for me, but the small lean, I want to go with the Falcons here. I am still not sold on the Saints. When you get a new OC or, you get a new scheme, that can be an advantage for you early in the season, especially when it's a Clint Kubiak. He's never been an offensive coordinator because the NFL, they're going to spend all offseason, even if it's a new OC, but they have film on him from the past 3 years, or he was an OC for 3 years at one point or something. Mm-hmm. Clint Kubiak's never been an offensive coordinator. So you have 2 great weeks and then one absolute dud against an Eagles team that I don't think that's an elite defense in any way. Not in any way. And we'll get to that on my best bets section. I am not impressed with the Eagles. And the box score didn't show it, but I thought they kind of drum rolled the Saints. Whereas the Falcons, I thought they've just been tough as hell. And I know they lost, or they beat the Eagles, in a comeback. So we have that shared data point. So this is a really interesting game. So I kind of put this on here because I'm like, I want to see Ox research this, and I want to hear his thoughts. But I have a small lean on the Falcons as well. Yeah.
Well, the Eagles' offensive line is nice, and they ran all over. They ran all over them. The Eagles did. I don't think the Saints are that bad. I don't. But here's what I got.
Okay.
The Falcons' O-line scares me, man. It does. They actually lost a guy last week, McGarry.
Questionable. Yeah, he's questionable. But they lost him in the game.
Yep, lost him in the game, and I've never seen this. I'd like to. You got to look this up yourself. You have it up right now. On the Falcons line, the right tackle. No, question. That right guard, Chad Lindstrom.
Yep.
Chad Lindstrom is the worst pass blocker in the league. But he's the best.
Sure
But he's the best. He's basically the best run blocker in the NFL.
Wild.
It's the craziest thing. That is the weirdest thing. It threw me off so much. I was like, wait a second. Am I looking this correctly? But yeah. So their O-line's got a lot of questions here. And let's be real. I was on a sack prop the other day. Chase Young, he's fine. He should be better than he is, but he's all right. But Carlos Granderson is having a great year. Man, he's having a great year so far. So I'm really liking this matchup here with their O-line being weak and their D-line being at least if you take away Carlos Granderson, they're a bit rough. They're at least average, right? D-line wise. I'm a big trenches guy, always have been. For this matchup, Saints have won the last 6 of 8 in this matchup, so that's pretty solid. And the last year. So currently, I think the book has it. And check me on this. I don't have it actually in front of me. Falcons are favored in this game by what, a point?
1.5. Yep.
1.5. Last year, as a 3-point or less favorite, the Falcons were 2-7.
Woof. I blame that on I don't even know the kid's name. Is he even in the league anymore? Their bum of a quarterback. Who did they have?
Oh my God, Ridley.
The worst.
Not Ridley. Ritter.
No.
Ritter.
I don't even know if that guy has a spot in the NFL.
I don't think he does. Desmond Ritter.
That's right. He got cut from the Seahawks.
Yes.
Couldn't even make the Seahawks roster. So this is sometimes where I'm careful with past results. I hear you. It's good to look them up. But you had Arthur Smith, who never thought highly of that guy. Man on the ship, and then Ritter is their quarterback.
I know. It just concerns me on the left side of their line's not very good. Their center freaking sucks. And if McGarry's out and Lindstrom, you can exploit his weaknesses. I'm concerned. Bijan did not have a good game last week. I had a prop bet, and it was that was the only bet of the weekend that I absolutely bombed the shit out of. So their offensive line if you can't run block, I got a little questions about that. Now, Cowboys obviously are not a great run blocking team, but they also have better pass blocking. They can get rid of the football and get up the field. But I just have questions about the line. I know that the Saints have shown some pass rushing ability. I like that. And, they still got corners that are respected. I didn't even know this. The Debo kid and Marshawn Lattimore has been a well-respected corner in the league for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's not like they're second. And Tyrann Mathieu, we talked about him last week on the show. Dude's still doing it. He's like 33 years old. He's still killing it. Right? I just think, and we've seen this offense. We've seen the Saints offense be good this year. Derek Carr was the MVP the first 2 weeks of the year. He did obviously have a regression game, which he was due against the Eagles team, who has a pretty respectable defense, I think. I know you're not high on them, but they're okay. But I just feel that the Saints are a better football team. I think they're going to win the trenches this week. And I like them. I mean, and history's kind of a little bit on my side. You don't love it. I don't love it either, especially in the NFL, but because the coaches have changed here, right, over time, especially from last season with the Falcons. You just mentioned that. But yeah, so anyway, my bet is a Carlos Granderson sack prop if you can find it. That's nice. Probably my bet this week, especially with the line being weak. The only thing that's kind of weird to me, and this is kind of a side topic, is like, why is Cal Pitts not the best tight end in the league? Because he just can't block?
That'll never make sense to anybody.
Okay.
I feel like everybody's just like, where's Kyle Pitts? Every game, every year. Like, why, that guy is a freak of an athlete. Why can we not get him involved? Nobody knows the answer to that question, man. Nobody does.
I feel like every year I'm like waiting for this Cal Pitts party, and I want to join in. Like, yeah, he's a boss. He's super good, but the dude's just a straight up average player.
Yep. Yeah. Same with Drake London too. We're like, oh, he's going to have a coming out party with Kirk Cousins now.
Yeah.
He has done nothing. And so to go back to what you said, though, I mean, this is why I wanted to hear what you said, because it's like, this is a game where I feel like if you asked 100 people, you're going to get 50 people on the Saints and 50 people on the Falcons. The only thing I'll challenge you with, because Granderson could do some damage on that right side, but to your point, the Falcons, they're far better at run blocking. Their interior line's not very good. Defensive line, the Saints, it's not very good. And then you have Chase Young on the other side, and that guy's regressed every single year he's been in the league. Now, Granderson's a stud, so I like that prop bet. But I think the Falcons could have some success running the football, and I think they need to because the Saints have a really good secondary.
That is their ticket to winning the game for sure.
Yep.
Chase Young is an absolute joke at anything besides one thing: running forward. He can't. If you look at his tackle grade, you could tackle better than him. He's a horrible tackler. He can't run stop. He can literally do only one thing, and that's why they only put him edge rushing on passing downs that they know they're going to pass.
Is he the new young Jadeveon Clowney?
I think so. I totally like it. Right. Yes. It looks like he played a lot more running snaps last week, which that's probably to their detriment.
Yeah, that's why the Eagles went up and down on him.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same token, yeah, I mean, I agree. Their interior line's a bit rough, but it's going to be a battle of the trenches. Like you just said, if they win the trenches, if O-line wins, they're going to run up and down on them and use their best player, Bijan Robinson, in my opinion, to win the game. Mm-hmm. He did not look good last week. Let's see if he bounces back this week.
Chiefs have a good linebacker core though, so they made some really good plays on him. So the other thing I just thought of too, do you remember week 1 when the Falcons ran 0 play action plays?
Yeah, remember you saying that.
And everyone was like, "Oh, Kirk Cousins' Achilles, it's a detriment." Well, against the Chiefs, they ran a lot of play action. He looked pretty good. So if they can win in the trenches, that's going to set up the play action. And just like you said, they have to do that because the Saints secondary is really good. So yes, if this is going to come down to the trenches, can the Falcons establish the running game?
Yeah, I need to probably, I guess, I don't know. It's still early in the season. Maybe take back what I've said about Chris Olave. Derek Carr's made him look like a number 1 receiver this year so far. So I guess I should eat my words a little bit because I was never a huge fan. But he's really shown out. Third best rated receiver in the NFL this year. Chris Godwin probably still sitting at 1. I haven't checked that recently, but Chris Godwin was number 1 coming out of the previous week. So, yeah. So, and I mean, if you look at the Falcons D line, bro, it's terrible. It's not that good.
No, it's not. It's not. What does that say about the Chiefs line? We can move on. But
yeah, I know. I'm just on the Saints on this game. A bounce back game, they're due. Clearly after the first 2 games looking pretty good. I just see a bounce back game, but it's the NFL, man. I think anything's possible. But that Carlos Granderson sack prop's my go-to. Somebody's got to get a sack. It's Kirk Cousins, man. He's going to want to throw it all over the place. All right, we got college bets coming up here next on the docket. So I grinded pretty hard. I do have the game that everyone cares about for the week also on our list, but I'll start with this. There's a hurricane hitting this area, and well, I guess not really my area, but in terms of the southeast. So usually that's going to factor in some wind, and that's going to factor in some rain, right? So games like Miami of Florida, they play at home on Friday. Hurricane's going to hit on Thursday, Friday morning, I guess, Thursday, Friday morning. So therefore they play Friday night. That's probably not going to factor, but you got some bands still hanging around from the hurricane when it leaves. Definitely the wind's still going to hang around. So that game's going to be windy Friday night, so keep that in mind. It's going to go up through into the Georgia area. It looks like it's going to touch Alabama, which, that's a big game. Georgia, Alabama is probably the game of the week, but it doesn't look like it's going to affect that weather-wise that much, right? It's going to stay just east of that, right? So it's going to affect kind of the east side of Alabama and then obviously kill Georgia and then kind of break out from there and kind of get into maybe a little bit of Carolina, maybe a little bit of Indiana, Tennessee, right? Okay. So I had a ton of unders. I'm not going to go through all of them. I don't need to. If you want to see them, they're on the Action app, but I got a lot of underplays this week. The unders that I do have stated here are not weather related, that I will go over, just to be fair, because I don't want to just give you guys an under and be like, that's the weather. Because that's not fun for anyone. So keep that. If you want to play, they're already going down. Some of the ones I have already gone down. So if you want to slide in on those, please make sure you check the Action app and my tag here, Joe_wannabe pro, and see what we got. Okay, Buffalo at UConn. I know everybody's gonna be tuning into this game. Okay, I know it, but I like getting these games early, especially because no one knows what these teams are, and I like getting in on the unders because both of these teams suck. Buffalo has 121st ranked offense. UConn has the 94th. Both teams run the ball 60% of the time. Love that.
That's a lot.
UConn had 18 passing snaps total last week. Total. And the under has pushed or won in all of Buffalo games this season. I do think UConn wins the game, but that's not the bet. I have under 45.5. And Buffalo's defense is very good. They're actually ranked 37th in the country. So that's why I went under, because it's too much of a mess. You know, when these shitty teams get involved like this, and UConn's not like shitty, they're just not good. When you can't score the football, people label you as shitty. But Jim Moore is their head coach. Did you know that?
I think I did know that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised, because sometimes when those guys fade and then they fade again and they keep fading all the way to like a low-level college team, it's like, all right, you're at your end. But that guy's hung on there for a minute.
Yeah, so I just thought that was funny. So I do like the under 45.5 for Buffalo at UConn.
I mean, that much running.
Yes.
That's a lot of running. 60%, like that is rare in today's age.
Correct. So, all right, well, I'll get something y'all care about. Georgia at Alabama. Sorry, we probably give I don't even know how much this really factors into what people care about, but I should have done it for the NFL, but I didn't. Anyway, for the Georgia game here, there we go. Looks like we're sitting at 2.5. We got some 1.5s flying around. Okay. I hate these games, bro.
Why?
I
Come
hate
on.
all
You're
games.
going to open up with the second versus the fourth ranked team as you hate it?
I love watching
them.
I love watching them. Okay. I don't like betting them. I don't bet games like this. Everybody asks me my bet. I don't like giving a bet because it's too hard. One thing you will be surprised at. I always give you a nice DeBoer stat. Right? I've given you some good non-conference DeBoer stats, right, over the last few weeks. All right. DeBoer in his entire career has never, ever been a home dog. Ever.
Jeez, that is insane.
So this will be his first time in his career he's been a home dog. All right. This series is absolutely insane. That's why everyone's going to watch it, right? We've had national championships. We've had SEC championships, right? We've had a lot of good things over the years that involve this series. Here's what I did not know, and I'm sure the line has been relatively small, and I can go track this down if you want me to, but the favorite in this series is only 3-9.
ATS. Or
out of the
ATS.
last 12 games.
Wow.
Out of the last 12 games, the favorite in this series, Georgia, Alabama, is only 3-9. Insane against the spread.
It is.
I'm assuming the spread's pretty low. I can bring it up relatively quick here, but I just want to make that note. My next note is something to consider. I'd like to know your opinion on this, just because I know you probably haven't done a lot of research, but I'd like to know what your thought is. We kind of looked up, especially when we're doing a lot of non-conference stuff, right? We took a look at DeBoer and his non-conference record, and he's only has one defeat now, and that was the South Florida game. Barely. I almost tried to cover there late. So he only has one defeat now, and that's the South Florida game this season. But with that said, he is new to this conference. His staff is new to this conference. Do we kind of want to look at these as some non-conference games because they're not used to his offense and defensive style? Because this is not Saban anymore. So
do we know how much roster turnover did Bama have? Do we know that? Didn't he do a pretty good job of retaining the players? Because I know that was a concern when Saban left. Like, oh no, there's going to be an exodus from Alabama. And I feel like I remember he actually did a really good job of keeping a lot of his guys there.
So it's tough to say, not to cut you off. It's tough because
go for it.
Because with NIL, right? That's not really counted with that.
But the reason I bring it up is because you asked, do we treat this as a non-conference game? If the players are largely the same, and when you get a Georgia-Alabama, you may have a lot, those guys are going to be familiar with each other. Coaching staffs, no, but players,
In terms of returning experience in the country, they're ranked 95th.
Bama.
Yes.
Okay.
Georgia.
Could that be an NFL exodus?
Well, Georgia's 26th.
Ah, okay.
It's because of the losing Saban and getting into Boer. So the NIL really factored for them, right?
Okay.
So it's this is kind of a weird stat to kind of use now because that doesn't factor in NIL, right? With transfers coming in, right?
Yes.
So that's the tough part of this. So with that said, I guess the answer to your question is he doesn't have a lot of returning experience. So maybe does that more of an advantage for DeBoer because they don't know the players? Georgia doesn't know all of them like they did under Saban.
I don't know whose advantage that is because DeBoer's not going to know Kirby Smart that well either in the coaching staff. I feel like this is more of a non-conference game then because players aren't familiar, coaching staffs aren't familiar.
Yep.
But I wouldn't know who to give the advantage to because both coaches have shown that they're pretty elite coaches, at least head coaches. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a fair assessment to treat it more like a non-conference game. But I don't know who you give the edge to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know either. The last time that Bama and Georgia played at a home site of some sort was in 2020. Georgia went to Alabama. Alabama won the game 41-24. Yeah. I think it'll be very close. There's really no history trends for under-overs necessarily either. I would tend to steer towards the under, but that's only because maybe some possible implications on weather. And the teams might spend a little bit of time feeling each other out due to the coaching staffs not really knowing each other in conference matchup. Right?
Yes.
That would be kind of why I would lean there. I can bring that up for us on what that would sit at. We got nothing. Oh, no, we don't. Sorry, 48.5. There we go.
Yep.
I do like the under there. Looks like it's somebody can get 49.5. So anyway, I don't have a ton. And Alabama their strength is running because Miller is a good quarterback. He can throw it, but he can't throw it under pressure. South Florida exploited him on that. They blitzed the shit out of him. It worked. What do you think Georgia's going to do when Georgia has a very good line? Right? And that's the concern here. Alabama's O-line is weak. Georgia's D-line is very good. What are we going to get? So,
you know what's interesting is you say that about how South Florida pressured him. His passer rating clean, Jalen Milroe, 139.5. His passer rating under pressure, 130.4.
You know why that's jaded?
Why?
Because he takes off and tries to run every time there's a blitz.
And that does probably still increase the passer rating. Okay. Yeah. Because I just wanted to throw that out there. Here's the other nugget on the game. Now, market didn't open very long ago.
Right.
But the market opened at Bama plus 2.5. Okay. We're now at Bama plus 2. Not a big movement. That's fine. Georgia is getting 81% of the cash and 79% of the tickets. So there's not even like a split in the cash tickets percentage. But they are getting all of the money, and the line is moving the other way.
Bigger money.
It's smart money is what it is.
Correct.
It's respected money. That is
exactly.
Someone respected is coming in and taking Bama. Yep. So that would make me apprehensive if I was a Georgia backer. I'm not going to have any action on this game. But I wouldn't bet Georgia, I guess. that shit scares me when you get the stats like that.
And it should. I agree totally with you, especially when you see that reverse line movement, basically, is what it is. Yep. It's a live bet for me, especially if both teams score on the first drive, right? So
hit the under.
Yep. That would be how I approach it there. Okay, moving on. So we got another great game. I know everybody's going to be absolutely just watching on this next one. Sorry, I hit my XLR cable. But I
can't wait for the next game.
Eastern Michigan at Kent State. And this is already moving. Oh, boy. Okay, and I'll be quick, but I'm being real here. Okay, I'll start with the juicy stuff. Kent State's lost almost all of their quarterbacks except for one.
Yikes.
Cargman got injured for the year, and Sherrod, last name Sherrod, also got injured for the season in their last game. They are now starting the guy they were supposed to start to begin the year. Finally, this week, I can't. It's Ulatowski. I can't pronounce it.
God bless you for trying.
Yeah, thank you. So just want to let you know, Kent State's starting fresh, and they've lost 3 running backs for the year as well.
Gosh, brutal.
Okay, they are terrible. They were beaten by St. Francis this season. Okay, at home at Kent State. Eastern Michigan has also played St. Francis. They just did recently. They beat them, thankfully. Kent State is 0-4 against the spread. Eastern Michigan is 4-0 against the spread. That would scare me. Someone's due to lose win. Okay, but too many of the. It could be almost a too good to be true situation. I already told you about the injuries. EMU, right? It's weird saying it that way. Eastern Michigan has a very good graded defensive line, and Kent State's O-line effing sucks. Okay? So they're going to win the trenches battle there. It was 14. I like 14. I got it at 14. I see here it's at 15. What I like even better is these two teams are so bad. Eastern Michigan's going to run the ball. Kent State, I don't even know what they're going to do with all those injuries. I'm assuming something. They're not going to score is my point. I like the under here a lot. It is a best bet here. I'm trying to think. What did I write that down when I got it at? I have it on my slide here. Sorry about
48?
that. Is that what I got?
That's what you. That's
right. I got 48. I love that's a best bet. 48. Buffalo at UConn under 45.5. So big under guy this week. Nothing to do with weather here. Eastern Michigan at Kent State's under 48. It's already going down. I think it's probably at the 47 range. Oh, I got it up right here. Come on, see. Be better. 47.5 now. Ooh, DraftKings is at 46.5 now.
Mm-hmm.
I hate being the guy that gives you the play it to something. I guess I'll get better at that as I really kind of dive into these some more. But I'm just telling you, I really like the under here. It's dropping because Cargman's out and their backup's out. I'm talking Kent State, sorry.
Yeah.
All of their quarterbacks are out besides one. And if he goes down, they have a true freshman that they're going to throw in. And he probably was recruited by no one. Just like
100%. He's at Kent State.
Yes. I had one more stat for you I want to throw out too. No, I don't. That's worthless stat. Okay, we'll move on. Did I have one more game for you?
I think you had one. Couple more quick hits. You had some.
Oh yeah, no serious notes necessarily speaking is what I had. But I do have some stuff that I'll kind of dabble on a little bit. Minnesota at Michigan. I do have a game on that. I just this is a banking on Michigan's defense and Michigan being at home here. Okay, this is not a
letdown spot for Michigan.
I don't think so because defense doesn't really let you down, and I don't know how they beat USC with 37 yards passing, but they did. So that's kind of insane. But I just don't think Minnesota's that good this year. I know some people are. Some people are a little bit higher on Minnesota. I'm not really too high on them, to be honest with you. And Michigan's probably got. I mean, he's going to be a first-round pick, maybe even top 10. That edge rusher. His name's escaping me right now, but he's a hell of a player. So I just expect them to kind of get after it. I do like anything under 10. Let me bring that up with that.
You're still there. We're at 9.
Still there? Okay. Cool. I like anything under 10 here with Michigan. Over under, wow. That's really low, too.
I know. I was going to say the over under is 36 with a spread of 9.
Correct. So if it got above 10, you get into that range of taking dogs with low unders.
It's just strictly based on value, nothing else. Yep.
Correct. Yeah. So
but you're under 10 at least.
Yeah, I definitely wanted under 10. I got it at 9. So I got that, and got Marshall sitting there. If just to let you know, I'm trying to wait on the Marshall bet here. I think it opened at 5.5. It's dropping. Marshall's starting quarterback went out last game against Ohio State. If he's out for this game, I would not touch it at all. But if he plays, I would consider taking the hurt. At least maybe money line if you can get it. If they drop down to like a -3, then I would maybe take the hurt money line to be on the safe side. But anyway, just because they're at home. Nonetheless, my next one here I have, a little quick one. Louisiana Tech at FIU.
I'm not going to.
No, I'm not going to go too much into this. But Louisiana Tech also just had one of their quarterbacks they've been playing a lot. He just went out for the year as well. FIU is not very good. They actually got destroyed by a bad FAU team earlier this season. So I expect this to also be a low-scoring game and them to suck.
Are we going under?
We are going under again. Also, guess where they play? FIU.
So that is in FIU.
Yes.
Tell the fans, myself included, where is that in Florida?
That is in Miami, west side of Miami. So therefore, they're going to have some poor weather, and they're poor teams. So I just want to let you know that that's semi a weather play. Yes, it's later in the day, Saturday, right? The hurricane's going to be moving out, but there's a little bit of weather factor there, and Louisiana Tech lost their quarterback that they've been playing. So yeah, that's what I got right there. Taking the under.
All right. Yeah, I figured because it was a Florida school. So it's like we're going under here, right?
Yeah, pretty much I've gone under on a lot of things this week. So I'm kind of scared. But we'll see how it works for me. Okay, let me, before, any notes that you have from all that? Sorry, I talked a lot there.
No, you're good, man. We're ready to get to the best bet because I've also seen that we're running a little long today. So we can keep it moving.
Oh, we're about to be right on time. Funny enough.
Are we?
Yeah, we're always at an hour 15 pretty much every time. Time.
I think this is like when we joined the thing then. Okay, because I'm seeing the clock. I thought that was since we've been recording. My bad.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, so here's my best bets. Kind of just saw a lot of them. Buffalo UConn under 45.5. Eastern Michigan 48. That's dropping already. I'm going back to the Elliott under rushing yards.
That's the best bet.
That's the best bet. That's this week. This Thursday at 8:15. I'll put the times in there, and then I'm gonna stick with the Carlos Granderson over half a sack. I did Chase Young obviously early in the year. Carlos Granderson had a sack that game actually, the one that I bet Chase Young, and this O-line is scaring me for the Falcons. I kind of alluded to I don't like it. Especially if they're banged up as we think they are. So I don't like it. But here's what you got. Oh, sorry. Probably can click the slide. There we go.
Boom. All right. Hit on the first one. Cowboys. Already talked about it. Next, Bengals minus 4.5. Love it even more since you were talking shit on them this whole time.
And they're playing their old quarterback.
Well, I don't even care about that.
Okay.
This is just, listen, I took the Panthers last week. It should have been a best bet. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But that is such a spot. Either a fired coach or a fired quarterback. You bet the fucking team that week. And the Panthers whoop some ass. We are now in that letdown spot for the Panthers. The Bengals are still desperate. Give me the Bengals all fucking day. That simple. Eagles at the Bucks. I wanted to find a dog. I'll be fair. Because I was like, okay, I've got two road favorites. That's not typically the way you want to bet in the NFL. So I was like, I need to find a home dog that I like. So for the third one, we're going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 2.5. They are at home versus the Eagles. This is where I alluded to earlier about the Eagles. I am not sold on them. A.J. Brown still out. Devontae Smith, he got a concussion last week. He shouldn't play. Sometimes teams rush receivers back. But if you take out their two playmakers, because we know the Buccaneers were hurt a little bit in the secondary, but now who are they going to throw to? And I don't love what I see from Jalen Hurts this year. I don't. Buccaneers also may be getting Vita Vea back on the defensive line. He's easily the best defensive player. He's still questionable, so we'll see. But I needed to fire at something. So I think this is a bounce back spot for the Buccaneers at home. I think the Eagles are decimated at wide receiver. Give me the home dog plus 2.5.
Also, Dallas Goedert has not looked that well this year at all either.
You don't think?
That I've seen. I know. I definitely don't think, in my opinion. I just think he's looked a little. I mean, I'm a big fan of him. It looks like he's grading pretty well. Not run blocking, but that's not really what he's there for. I don't think necessarily. But with that said, fantasy wise, he's not really given a lot of points to the fantasy owners either. I don't know. I just haven't been really impressed with him. I don't know. I saw that the other day, and I was like, yeah, I haven't really heard of Goddard that much. But At the same token, there's other good tight ends out there too. So maybe he's just not as good as they are. Maybe that's kind of why I'm assuming he's bad, because he's just not as good as they are. But nonetheless, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, hey, that's fair. I mean, with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith taking the action away, he should be set up. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's what I'm saying. This could be the week that kind of breaks out a little bit. Kind of gets really putting big numbers. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I was just kind of looking at Devontae Smith being out could be huge.
Yeah, if you have both of those wide receivers out.
If that happens, that will be a huge blow to the Eagles.
Right.
He's not listed on PFF in terms of an
so
injury.
Interesting because the 100% left with a concussion. So it's so interesting that he wouldn't be listed.
Yeah.
But you know who is listed? They're the best rated tackle in the league.
Lane Johnson. Yeah. You see that.
Questionable. Mekhi Becton didn't play last week. He's not like a great guard, but he's still a starter. He's questionable. Yeah. But I think kind of what to pay attention to maybe is you got Anton Winfield and Vita Vea for the Buccaneers on the defensive side. Questionable. If they play, that'll be a big boost for them.
I agree. All right. Well, you heard it here first, early in the week this time. And, hopefully we get Alex in a winning column here.
Oh, yeah. I hope more than anybody else.
Yeah, I know. All right. We will catch you guys next week. Enjoy the bets. Enjoy the time. See y'all.